Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and my distinguished guest today is Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you very much for having me on. I'm about to go with my wife to Saratoga Springs,
Nice.
where the New York State Chess Association will be giving me a recognition while the New York State High School Championships are going on.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Wonderful.
very nice weekend. Yep.
Have a great and safe trip and enjoy yourself. And
Mhm.
in the meantime, there is no rest of any games, tournaments of all kinds in the chess, and you can all watch it for free on
Yeah.
the different internet resources, which is incredible.
Right.
It's just amazing. It's never like this situation existed in the chess.
Incredible and popular because I
Very
have
much.
one of my games set up in ChessBase simply because chess.com had a momentary outage. It's okay now.
Mhm.
So, um, but
What is the most interesting things that you're seeing these days?
well, there's a brilliant game that I can lead off showing.
Okay,
Prague
great.
Festival um, had a victory by an old prodigy. Okay, Aravind Chitambaram, was a very young player, made his mark more than 10 years ago,
Hmm.
quieted a bit, and then, however, he beat a very strong Category 19 field in the Prague Masters right now, and his what put him in the lead for good, or with comfortable lead for good, was his victory against Anish Giri in round 7 of the tournament. So
That's
this
serious. Yeah.
is the case where the key game in a tournament, or early on when Gukesh beat Giri at Tata Steel, is a loss by Giri as white. But oh no, Giri was black against Gukesh. Sorry,
Hmm.
but yeah, the squares G4 and G5 for knights will play an equal role in this game. So can you see the board?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a game that transposes into an opening that I play well. So this is the Queen's Gambit declined, where Black avoids an early pin by Bishop G5. So now QGD exchange, expect a very positional game, um, and but people are realizing that the play does not have to be all on the queen side of these positions. White has a king side pawn majority. Black has open lines on the king side. So each has a reason to think of focusing the play on the king side rather than the queen side. And one other thing about this position, it does not go Catalan. It does not have white fianchetto the king's bishop. And that is an enticement for people who think in Dutch defense terms like me. So now we have a little bit of jockeying where black, both sides actually are trying to make the bishop that's deployed on f4 or f5 feel uncomfortable. White, it would be premature for white to play f3 with the king still in the center. So white plays queen c2 and black just develops. Now white again puts the question to the bishop, but the bishop now can go back to e6 because white's knight is not going to harass it with knight g5. Now white in fact brings back the knight. And now here is a case of moves that maybe 100 years ago we wouldn't have considered. But now that we have computers, it's not just, oh, we can think of them with our brains. Sometimes the computers show this to us. So I must say, actually, right now, the computer is not showing it to us. For some reason, the computer is giving two identical lines with different evaluations, and it wants to play knight h5 on the theme of harassing white's bishop. But the move, I don't know when this was prepared, is knight e4. This looks like a sacrifice. I mean, it is a sacrifice. Um, and the funny thing is that black doesn't do anything particularly special. But what black does have is an ace in the hole, is the fact that white was not close to castling. So it turns out that there isn't a comfortable way for white to interpose. Can't interpose to the queen because bishop b4 would pin and win the queen. So white has put the knight on d2. And now we can play the theme of harassing white's bishop. And black can do more harassment. There are various lines that come. One of key point in this position is that some of the lines black plays c5 and rook c8. And there's also the fact that black is able to castle quicker than white is able to castle. So this, with a lot more computer analysis, eventually this edge goes away. This is actually considered to be quite a good sacrifice for black with a lot of compensation. It was written up as such in one of the magazines. I forget which one. But anyway, white plays bishop d3. And now black plays the line that I like to see. I used to play the Stonewall Dutch as black. And this is a version of the Stonewall Dutch where white is captured early. C takes d5. So I don't have a backward pawn on e6. I can eventually support my strong point on e4 with rooks, with all my pieces. And white's bishop is not being kettled. So I can have more chance of making the king side feel uncomfortable. So I actually like this for black, even though the engine shows half a pawn advantage to white. It's a matter of style. Maybe you should say that I was good at outplaying opponents from positions like this. Well, already maybe a suboptimal move. The computer was saying white should just go ahead and castle play, knight e2, regroup, but bishop h2, maybe that was against g5, against black's expansion. But white should maybe be cracking the whip himself. To white's credit, white does in the following moves after both sides castle. And black takes a moment for king h8, which itself maybe was not necessary. Now white does take over the center for a bit, but black's position is quite resilient. So what's going to happen in the second half, in the middle part of this game, is several junctures of instructive positional and tactical judgment. So both sides make a judgment. One side judges better than the other. That's why black wins. Okay. So white has blocked on e5. Notice all the pieces on the e file. And also important, white is now finally ready to play f3, which will kick black's knight out of the center. And that happens. All right, so black's knight is out of the center. Now here is a judgment play. So white can take this as a positional game. Okay, play rook c1, play b3 to discourage black on c4, or maybe build up more on the king side. But Yuri decides to go for activity on the king side right away. White's pieces are, in fact, looking at the king side. So here we go. Only problem with this move is that now the squares around white's king are weaker than the squares around black's king. And that eventually becomes the crucial factor in the position. So black just calmly develops. You might say, hey, what's holding up the pawn on f5? Well, let's take a look. Okay. Now black will recapture. And what white has accomplished in this position is making a whole lot of weak squares. So, well, white doesn't even have an extra pawn to show for this, and all of these squares on the king side are weak. Computer is already showing a probably decisive edge to black. Okay, so white can't actually take advantage of what seemed to be the main objective of the g4 move. Okay, well, white follows it up with the knight. That's strong square. Black supports. A lot of the same tactics are still applying. In fact, it might even be worse for white with the open G file. And now a totally natural move that is not liked by the computer. Computer wanted white to back off or play king h2 to consolidate the squares, play bishop f4. And now white gets into surprising trouble. Okay, so this is crouching, but the element in the position now is that black's queen is coming to h4. There's not a lot white can do about it, and the capture on f5 still does not really help white because e5 falls. Okay, so if pawn takes f5, well, actually then queen takes h4 is a nice counterattack. Okay, so and then just g takes f5, and you've already got the open g file. So white therefore consolidates the center, is willing to jettison g4 for solid center play and squares. But now, what's white's rook doing on e1? We'll see that rook is a very unhappy defender later in the game. So queen h4 happens, and now comes a truly brilliant move. So king g2 is about the most natural move one can think of, but actually it was already high time for white to crouch a little more, bring the queen over, so that after an exchange of pawns on g4, white can relieve pressure by exchanging queens. King g2, this is an optimistic move. White figures, well, I've got black restrained in the center. The take on g4 with open lines. So if we look, if black takes on g4, then white is going to avail the h file. So this is good for white. In fact, black's queen might get trapped on g4 in this position. But that is not at all what black played. So here, Chidambaram plays a brilliant move that simply changes the calculus of what is going on these squares. So black plays knight g5, like total shock. What's the follow-up? Okay. So it's actually relatively very simple. The reason white is bad in this position is that white cannot really hold on to the f3 square. Okay, so let's take a look. What on earth do I mean by that? Okay, so we come out here, and now capturing on f8 is only going to make things worse for white. Okay, so if we capture this way, then now black is threatening queen h3 check, winning the knight, a mate in short order, and white can't defend it by rook h1 because of bishop f3 check. So there, failure to hold on to f3. So suppose white doesn't take the pawn. Well, if white plays the rook over here to shore up, then this is just absolutely a destroying move. Okay, white can't retreat the knight to e2 because that's already mate. You put the knight on f1, then black can just pile on, and then things coming on f2. So that's this idea. So white can't capture, white can't move the rook. The best thing white can do is try to plug the hole, but then the problem is white is losing the knight. Queen h3 check, king f2, queen h2 check, and wins the knight, and it wins from black. So it's actually not too difficult to calculate. It's just very difficult to expect this for white. So instead, white played rook h1, guarding h3. And now, another brilliant move. Okay, black's bishop is going to come in. And interestingly enough, so we're now at almost at the second judgment point. So white does now capture the knight. And now black's follow-up, again, is has to be very careful. Okay, so this move does not work now because white gets the tempo to take on g4. Okay, and then white is able to lay bishop e4, covering f3, and black has no strong attack. So it's not that. The key move is the very, very patient capture on e3. White can't capture back ultimately because black has the move f4. But other things are going to put white in worse trouble because if you don't capture on e3, then rook f2 check is going to be devastating in some form. Plus, black has bishop d5 check happening. So here is where Geary made the misjudgment. Okay. And the ultimate problem with white's next move is that it loses control over the square e4. So the best way for white to play was just to huddle in this position. Okay. And then, black can attack, but there's nothing imminent happening to white. Black can also win this is threatening to win an exchange now with bishop d5 check. Okay, taking over the e4 square. And now it is game. Black has the advantage. White actually has a pawn advantage, but it's not a very healthy pawn. It's going to fall with queen takes g5 at some point. So that's the way white has to play. At least I have to say white is not obviously losing. But Geary, down to under 5 minutes on the clock, okay, threw in g takes f5.
Oh.
Yes. Now, the problem with this move is that black's queen now attacks the e4 square. So he played the same lines, but now white cannot play rook takes g3 because of bishop d5 check. And blocking with bishop e4 is not on the cards. Okay, so now white actually is lost, and but still, Chidambaram plays very well to crack through. So now it looks like white has gained a temporary respite, but no, the f3 square is still going to blow because white's rook on h1 is tied to the defense of h3, and white can defend f3 with the queen, but it's not a defense. So here we go. So this another nice accurate move. So white can't beat queen, and then kapow.
Wow.
Okay, and so can't take with the queen because of bishop d5 pinning the queen. Can't take with the king because of basically what happens in the game. And now key point here again is black wants to have optimal squares to the pieces to dispel any chance that white can give lots of checks. So black put the queen on f5 after white's king went that way, and then just captured the rook, and Geary gave up.
Wow, very impressive play by black. And very, very impressive, really, indeed. Okay. Any other game that caught your attention?
Yes, I do. So there were one truly major event that happened was the World Junior Championships, boys and girls or men and women events. They concluded a week ago Friday. Pranav won on the boys' side, and the winner on the women's side was Anna Shukman. Okay. So, who I've been less. Liu Maoyi recovered from a loss in the first round to post a good score, but still a point behind the winner. This is a very young Chinese girl. And Ayan Alaverdieva was the other second place tie for second finisher in the game. But anyway, so however, I'm going to show a game from the Champions Showdown. And actually, I can get it on chess.com now that they're back up.
Okay.
So let me do that. So Champions Showdown was a victory for Fabiano Caruana. He still has a lot of life in what's going on. And let's just make sure I have the right game here. Oh, yes, this is the right game. And this was, however, a 3-minute blitz game. Okay. All right, I'll show this. I had from ChessBase. I didn't realize which was the what was the order of the game. So
I see.
Yeah. Okay. So this was a blitz game. So it's maybe not as. Let's see. Okay. Stop sharing. Share screen. Now let me share to the tab again. Here we go. Okay. So Okay, yeah. So the clocks will be useful. So Caruana is black in this game, and it's an interesting skirmish early on. Again, Queen's Gambit declined, but is this Ragozin? What's the name of this?
We'll see.
Yeah, and so trades a bishop for knight both ways. And,
I don't see the board though.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. Still not. I did share the tab.
I see.
Okay, sorry. I should have
Okay,
asked you.
we are okay now.
Now seeing the board. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let me just scroll through the opening moves again. So it looks like the players might be headed toward peace with the early exchanges, but that's far from the truth. Okay, well, black, this is still, liquidating in the center. However, black temporarily avoids the exchange of queens. But now this is white maybe miscalculates. So actually, Robeson was down under a minute in this blitz game already. So it's curious enough, white has to play knight takes c6 and ultimately give up 2 pieces for a rook in this position. So I guess white underestimated or overestimated his counterplay on the last rank. Now a4 to tie black up. And white does succeed in tying black up, even while going 2 pawns down. Okay, so this is a key resource that maybe white overlooked. If black's knight had to move, then the pin really would be an eternal pin. And white's pressure on c6 would probably at least equalize the game. But here, the bishop being free, the only benefit white has is that black's knight is out of the game. Okay, so white tries to make trouble on c6, and black's counter was a little bit obliging because now, after this trade, the trade of pawns and then knight takes c6 would leave black with double pawns, not impressive, and pieces out of play. So black plays c5, and now this is the losing move by white. So, I mean, grabbing a pawn, what else could you want to do? But actually, white should have played knight d3, capture on b7 to liquidate black's c pawn, and go into a position again with black having an extra but not very fearsome pawn on the a file. So white captured over there, and unfortunately, that gives black the initiative on the queen side, and white is not going to get counterplay against a7 in time in this position. Here we go, counterplay against a7, but we're making a queen in the meantime. So, okay, we capture, and okay. All right, so now black's up a piece, and this is very easy to convert. Okay, and don't need to show more.
Yeah, that's enough.
Blitz game. Both players down to seconds, but the technique by black was certainly up to the task. Okay, so anyways, that was the so Fabiano Caro won the Champions Showdown. This was the final position in the classical game where Robeson had to play for a win on demand as black. And I guess I can do the opening of this game. In fact, Robeson plays very enterprisingly, Benoni reverse type position. So this is hyper-modern chess. White actually has better development with the 2 bishops, engages black center. Is it going to fall apart? Yes, it does. Fall apart 1 pawn at a time, 2nd pawn at a time. Okay, so black's beautiful center has fallen apart, and white already has a pawn advantage according to the engine. And this just enables white now to take over the center incipiently with d4, or forcing black to trade and improve white's pawn structure. White is a healthy pawn ahead and the compensation for the bishops. So, I mean, Robeson also was way short of time. This game was played at semi-classical pace, 60 minutes for the game with a 10-second increment. So I don't have to show more. It was a crush from this point on. So maybe though I will go to the World Junior Championship and just show quickly one of the games by the winner, Pranav, a player I've been less aware of, but what's the story of our time? Actually, even as one of the organizers of the Prague event said, the story of our time is going to be the emergence of players from India. So. So actually, let's take a look at how Pranav defeated one of his countrymen. So match between the two Indian players. Pranav had 7 going into the round. Aswath had 6.5 going into the round. This was round 9, so it's round 8. I'm sorry. So 8 out of 9 after this. So okay. Whoa, okay. So enterprising play by Black. Orangutan reverse, maybe you want to call it. Okay, well, how could a natural move like Rook B8 be a mistake? Okay, it says it wants to either do the development on the king side or clarify the queen side a little more. So probably development is what it wanted. So the problem with this is that it allows white now to make this break because Black has not attended to development.
And interestingly enough, on previous move, instead of Rook B8, I was thinking about Black playing F5.
Yeah, let's see what kind of move that is. Well, okay.
Look, okay, 95.
Oh yeah, is that so? So what's going on here? Queen takes. I mean, these sort of things can happen to Black, but and then E6, is this really all that bad for Black? I guess it is. White is just going to have an army of ants in the center. Yeah, this is bad news. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's
so okay. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So yeah. No, Black should have to play Bishop E7 and castle right away, which is an emotion you feel in these kind of positions as Black. So Rook B8 is just an autopilot move because natural to get the rook out of the way of White's bishop and onto a nice file, but just tactically loses to this. And now E4. Now this is demolition, and Black can't castle because the F file is open. So this is now going to be or could be a demolition derby. Let's see what happens. Okay, so White has A4 for White came in handy as a nice square for the knight. What on earth is the move H5 for? Well, it is the best move according to the computer. It's to stop Queen H5 check. And but already this is so White goes pawn hunting. I guess it's also C6 square hunting, but still it's a little bit non sequitur. Well, it's the second best move. Queen C2 and Bishop D2, simple play. I guess it wouldn't occur to me to play Queen C2 in this position. So what do you know? Okay. So Black could have been in the game with an exchange sacrifice, followed by taking over the diagonal. But now White is able to. Okay, the players repeat moves. There is a nice move in this game. Okay, so I hadn't looked at it. Wow. Of course, Bishop G5 is good too, but here we go. So this now got Black's queen off of the defense of the E6 square. So now this is going to crash through. Threatening mate. Now we're going to crash through on the rook file. Okay, now White's pawns are going to crash through. So this is a visually entertaining game. And Black can now give up. Okay. Wow. All right. So that was a worthy game by the winner.
Absolutely. Ken, thank you so much for this game today. And I'm looking forward to see you again next week. Same place, same time. And have a great weekend to all our listeners and those who will celebrate St. Patrick's Day have a lot of fun. Thank
Okay.
you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much. Yep. Okay.
Bye bye.
All right.